As we get started, I'd like everybody just to have a little bit of context. Who is Matt Plapp, and how did you go from the radio business into restaurant marketing? That seems like a large leap.
So I always blame my love affair for the restaurant business from my mom and dad raising me in restaurants. My dad had an insurance agency. My mom and dad both had an insurance agency. And I used to always joke that my mom couldn't cook because we ate out every night. But it wasn't that she couldn't cook. She was phenomenal. And mom, if you watch or hear this, you're a phenomenal cook. But they loved giving business to their restaurant clients, networking. And so we were in the restaurants a lot. And then when I got into my radio career in 1999, I noticed that none of the small mom and pop restaurants were on the radio. And it wasn't because there wasn't a benefit to them. Now I know, being an older marketer, there wasn't as much as I probably thought then. But it's because the sales reps couldn't make a commission on them. They're car dealer spending 20 grand a month. A restaurant could spend 500. Well, I looked at it differently. I looked at it from a trade avenue. I thought, if I can get 20 restaurants on the books spending $500, yes, not a huge amount, but it's equivalent to one good big account. But now I have gift cards to go entertain my clients with. And so I became the restaurant trade radio guy in Cincinnati. And then simultaneously, my brother, my dad, and myself got together in September of 99. And I don't know where it came from. My dad wanted to start a boat and RV consignment store. And we didn't have any money. Me and my brother didn't. And my dad wasn't going to invest his money in something with his two kids. It could be morons for all he knew. And we got the idea that we would build it online. And this is in September of 99. And knowing where I was technically back then, I had struggled with email. And so the fact that I went out and bought a book and created a website is beyond me. But we grew that to 15 million in sales, 3 locations within 5 years, almost all off the internet. That exposed me to the digital world. And in 2008, I decided to start what is today our restaurant media company, America's Best Restaurants, Repeat Returns. Back in 2008, as a local marketing company, and my first client was a restaurant, oddly enough.
That's awesome. Okay, before we go any further, I need clarity on your whole business. You got so much going on, and every time I turn around, you're adding something new. So break it down for me. Give me the whole picture of your company.
So my vision is I want to create the ultimate restaurant marketing platform that's focused mainly around independence, but there are some aspects of the software side that work with. We have 300 location chain on the platform, so it works well. But my focus has always been on teaching people the opportunity that exists right now. And this is the same thing I'm talking about now. I've been speaking on since 2008. I mean, when I started this company in 2008 as a local marketing company, my idea, I called it the mobile marketing director, was, hey, you couldn't afford me. If you were going to hire me to run your marketing for your company, it'd cost you $250,000 easily. Mm-hmm. You can't afford that. You're a one location restaurant. You're a chiropractor. You're a gym. And so I came up with a solution where I said, hey, I'm going to have 20 businesses that I'm a consultant for, and I'm going to manage their marketing budget. And we had 1 location burger joint. I had 3 location wing joint. We had a place called Hofbrauhaus in Pittsburgh, Columbus, and Newport, Kentucky. Eventually worked with Cleveland as well. But also through that time, I knew a lot about digital marketing. And I look back, I squandered a lot of opportunity because what I knew 15 years ago about what we know today, like I was way ahead of the game on complete accident. I had no idea that I knew what I was talking about at that level. But throughout the time, I started to realize we needed to really niche down. And so 2015, we decided to focus exclusively on helping restaurants because I had 40 clients in Cincinnati area, all different industries. I think at one point we had 31 different industries. And it was tough to leave a car dealership and go to a chiropractor and go, oh, hey, this worked here to sell 100 cars. Now we got to get back adjustments, and then leave there and go to a buffalo wing joint. Oh, but now we got to sell buffalo wings. So 2015, we decided to narrow our focus. It was me and Ashley, who's my director of ops still to this day. She's been with me 13 years, and decided to go 100% restaurants. And we've since scaled the company. What took us on a real big path was in 2017, I was traveling the country and I was speaking at a couple small little conferences here and there, which, by the way, I saw your speech at Cater Source. You killed it. That was unbelievable. I watched it on YouTube. Great job.
Thank you.
But I started speaking like that at events, and I would get invited to the restaurants afterwards. Hey, Matt, you got to come to my restaurant. Check it out. And I would go to the restaurants, and these guys like you would tell me the story, like the story behind Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, and then you in the restaurant is invigorating. It's what people need to know about, but nobody does.
Right.
And so I had the idea in 2017, what if I created a new media company because nobody's watching cable TV. And I knew it back then. Right. People are still thinking that they're still watching it today, but it's not. I mean, some of the best food programming on cable TV might get a couple hundred views in a neighborhood. Whereas if you did the same thing on your Facebook page, you get a couple 100,000. And 2017, I had a vision for America's Best Restaurants. I said, hey, I want to create a media platform that helps tell the stories of the hardest working people in this country, the mom and pop restaurants. And I didn't know what the hell I was talking about, how I was going to do it. I'm like, I'm going to travel the country with my phone and film these stories. And at the same time, I've got the marketing side. So they'll both help each other. When I come across people that might need marketing help, hey, here's our help. And at the same time of that, because you got a lot of stuff going, I realized there was a lot of restaurants that couldn't afford to hire our company to market for them. So I created America's Best Restaurants University, which is online learning. And so that evolved to where today there's americasbestrestaurants.com and the media company with that will film at 1,000 restaurants this year. americasbestrestaurants.com. By the end of 2026, we'll have 50,000 independent restaurants listed on it for free. And we're building a thing called ABR Rewards there where it helps connect the restaurants and consumers. The other side of our company is the marketing side, which is I'm in Vegas at our office in Las Vegas. Repeat Returns is a restaurant marketing software that we purchased last year, and we merged with our marketing company. And the vision there is to create, people have loyalty programs, they have reward programs, but not enough of them have customer acquisition programs.
Right.
And then not enough of them have retention programs because this device is tricky. I mean, it's text messages, emails, Facebook, Instagram. It's hard to keep people's attention. So my vision with Repeat Returns and restaurant marketing that works was to create a platform that was full circle marketing. And then America's Best Restaurants University is our online learning platform to help restaurants understand a lot of the nuances of advertising. We have guides on there that we sell. We have trainings. We have free trainings. So the vision long term is to create a one-stop shop that restaurant owners can come to get education, to learn what it takes to become an institution in their neighborhood, to get marketing help, because let's face it, I don't know how to make barbecue. You probably don't know how to push buttons on Facebook ads. And then on the other side is the media channel, is that this isn't going anywhere. I mean, I don't care where you're at. Airport, bathroom, restaurant, a gym, the pool, the beach, everybody's on their phone.
100%.
And so with America's Best Restaurants, I want to create a media channel. Like right now, we're publishing 4 brand new episodes a day on Facebook and YouTube for restaurants. And the whole focus is just helping them tell their story.
I lost power. Hold on.
Yeah, what happened? I just saw that.
My lights went down.
Oh, man,
we got these. That's real time.
Oh, is that
it's like automatic
the
lights.
Sensor?
Yeah.
I have those, the bathroom at my coffee shop I go to once a week. It goes off on me every time. I'm like waving my hand.
So that's amazing. I really think that, especially in the mom and pop restaurant space, there's so much need for what you do. I watched one of your videos and it rang so true to me, and it was about the Red Bull. So what's the number one mistake small restaurants make with their marketing? What aren't they doing, or what are they doing wrong?
Wow, there's a lot of mistakes there.
Yeah.
Let's think the number one. I think the biggest mistake is that restaurants are using today's marketing opportunities, and what I mean by that is email, text, and social media mainly, and they're using it how they would use a money mailer coupon 25 years ago. If you go back 25 years, you go back to 1999, Matt Plapp walking into Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue and catering, and I'm like, hey, Deuce, we want to run some radio ads for you. I'm going to help you build an advertisement. The only focus of that is to sell your restaurant on my airwaves. What has happened is people have tried to replace that with digital media. And if somebody is a fan of your Facebook page for your restaurant, they're not on there to be sold food every time they turn around.
Right.
And so that's what the biggest mistake I've seen happen. I kind of call it the money mailer effect, is that every single restaurant can reflect, which, by the way, that went out of business a few years ago. I don't know if it's back or not, but when it went out of business, this guy that I know, sidebar, started another direct mail company. I'm like, don't you see the trend here? It's going digital. But we've all had that conversation where you've sat down with a rep and built an advertisement. Well, people are trying to replicate that on social media and email. And if I'm a fan of your restaurant and you email me every single week a reason to come eat at your restaurant, I'm eventually going to opt out. But if you engage with me differently, engage with me why I'm on the platform. And so the Red Bull video you're talking about, it's up to like 7 million views, I think. That was at David Scott Peters' conference a year ago,
I
year
need
and a
an
half
intro
ago.
to him, by the way.
Oh, I
Yeah.
got you. It's awesome. You need to speak at his event. He does some great events with great owners. The guy is legit.
Yeah.
He's the best out there. But DSP, I was at his conference. And I stood up on stage. And I basically said, if I go to Red Bull's Instagram account or Facebook, they're not selling Red Bull.
Right.
If I go to your restaurants, all you're selling is pizza every day. Pizza. If your place is called, barbecue or pizza or burgers, I have a pretty good clue what the hell you do.
Right.
So you got to meet your customers on the platform for the reason they're there. And it's like my wife is not on TikTok right now on the sofa at the house. That's what she's doing right now, chilling, I bet. She's not on there to look at food. She's on there to sometimes look at food, how it's made, but she's on there to consume content. And the more content people consume of yours, the more you get put into
It
the
either
algorithm.
has to be entertaining or educational to get them coming back to watching. And that's I think you're right on there with people just posting pictures and say, come in and try our new special. It's not going to cut it. You need to engage the customer. And that's something I learned from your guys, you and Scott, is when you make a post on Facebook or something, have something that they can engage with. Guess how many candies in the bottle? What's your pet's name? Something that they can engage with. It doesn't have to be always about a slab of ribs or a slice of pizza or something like that.
And it's tough to understand that. And I reflect back, everything that I preach to people is from trial and error.
Right.
If I'm telling you something that I know is correct like this, it's because I did it incorrectly for a long time. And I reflect back in the 2016 to 17 time when I started scaling this company. I'm like, great, I've got Facebook, I've got YouTube, I've got a podcast. I'm going to get on here and talk about how badass Matt Plapp and my company is. And so for a year, every time I was on camera, it was how great we were, our results, this, that, and the other. Nobody cared. And so I finally had to take a look in the mirror and go, okay, what can I help? How can I give back? I can give back by teaching people how to do stuff. I had a text message this morning. A lady sent me a video text this morning, and it was triggered because she listened to yesterday's podcast. I do a daily podcast on Spotify and all those platforms, 5 to 15 minutes long, one topic. I've been doing it for coming up on 2 years this June. And every day it's a different topic. Well, 2 days ago, the topic was on how and why to create Facebook ads to acquire customers. And she texted me a little video and said, hey, I appreciate it. You're transparent, the honesty. I really needed to hear this. Thanks for your help. And that would have been Matt Plapp 7 years ago. I'd have been like, hey, click here to buy. Mm-hmm. And so restaurants have to realize the platforms that we have at our fingertips are gold. Twitter, with X now, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, email, text marketing, messenger marketing, WhatsApp for some places. It is an absolute gold mine. It's almost completely free. But the only way it works is if you meet your customers on that platform while they're there. I get people all the time. I had a comment this morning. That Red Bull video gets comments every day. And somebody said, this Red Bull, comparing Red Bull to a restaurant is apples and oranges. Doesn't make any sense. I said, well, an apple and an orange are both what? A fruit. Mm-hmm. Fruits get used for the same thing. Doesn't make an orange juice or an apple juice differently. It's both a fruit juice. Well, Red Bull and restaurants are both on Facebook or both on Instagram. Your consumers aren't differentiating, oh, this is Red Bull. I expect this. My restaurant, I expect to be sold to. But the big thing that trumps all of this is the number one way to tell that this is correct is your social media content doesn't get engagements.
Right.
And doesn't get engagements because the algorithm, Facebook knows. The only way Facebook makes money is if Matt Plapp is on this platform, if I'm on here scrolling, and if I'm on here scrolling nonstop and looking and stopping and clicking, great. Well, if I don't stop on stuff like your Facebook post for your restaurant, they go, oh, he didn't stop. Let's not show that again.
Right.
Oh, he didn't stop again. Let's not. Okay, we're going to eliminate 47-year-old white dudes that live in that zip code from seeing that restaurant's marketing because none of them are stopping.
Right.
So the ultimate proof is the fact that nobody opens your emails, nobody clicks them, nobody replies to them, Nobody comments on your Facebook post. Nobody shares it. Nobody is truly excited. And it leads back to one big thing, which isn't the conversation here, but it's one big one. That's why nobody wants to work at your restaurant, because they don't know the magic that's happening because you're not telling the story.
Yeah, so much information right there for sure that people really don't understand. I mean, I get that question all the time. Like, Deuce, I love your videos, and then they in the next breath they'll be like, "But are you making money, or like how does that relate to your business?" Because we never sell catering, we never rarely talk about the restaurant, or we'll use the Deuce as well products, but it's not like we're pushing it. But it's the attention and the constant being in their feed, that eventually will pay off. And now we're starting to do some monetizing on the platforms themselves, and our business has grown over the last 3 years since we've really been focused on it. And is it all because of what we're doing online? No, we're doing a lot of things right in the business too, but I know it has some impact, and the amount of reach that you can get online way surpasses anything you else could do with a money mailer or anything in your local neighborhood. I mean, some of the neighborhood stuff is, as is very important too, but it's just so scalable online.
It's my first book that I wrote that I never published was called Create Your Own Radio Station. It was the topic of my presentations I did from 2008 to 2014. And my whole reason behind the name was not to create a radio station, but if you look at why people tune into a radio station or why you buy advertising, it's because people tune in. So you're spending $200 to give this radio station $200 for a 60-second commercial, at least back then it was, because they have people listening to the station. Well, okay, let's narrow that down. Your restaurant is a one-location restaurant in Northern Kentucky. How many people are you actually reaching out that big signal? It's probably a couple thousand. Well, if you have a Facebook page that's done correctly, an email list, a text list, a birthday list, LinkedIn was a big thing I hyped up a lot back then, and people couldn't comprehend it. But if you have all these platforms, you have the ability to cultivate your own radio station. So when you need to sell something, you tap into that. The problem is people are trying to tap into it every day, and they're desperate to make it sell food every day. And I told this example the other day. I have a guy named Peter on my team that travels with me 90% of my trips. Like this trip to Vegas was last minute. I didn't want to drag him out of the office, so he's not here with me. But he travels with me 90% of my trips. His expense for his payroll, the stuff he does, his equipment, his benefits is over $100,000 for me. I have no expectation of anything this year happening with my company that's going to be ROI positive with Peter. Peter exists because I'm building something in 2 or 3 years.
Right.
A lot of things restaurants need to wrap their head around is not everything you have in your marketing world is going to lead to the success. It's like you said, it's not the stuff you're doing on social media that's made your brands grow. Mm-hmm. It's everything.
Right.
It's the culmination of 20 different efforts over a long period of time.
100%.
It's like weight loss. I equate marketing and sales to weight loss. That if you're 100 pounds overweight, you could do a lot of things. You could eat better. You could sleep better. You could manage your stress, your mobility, your flexibility. You could exercise. You could do cardio, weightlifting, CrossFit, whatever it is. But if you do 5 or 6 of those over a 3 to 4 year period, it is impossible that you will not get in shape.
Right.
And it's the same with your marketing. It's like the example in the marketing I love to give is a band director. Because people always ask, okay, Matt, how do I act like Red Bull on Facebook? What am I going to do? I'm like, okay, do you have a high school? I ask you, Deuce, is there a high school near you?
Sure.
Everybody's got high school,
Yep.
right? Your high school probably has a band.
Yep.
That band probably has 100 kids. That band director, if you look at his influence with those kids, with moms, with dads, with step-parents, with grandmas, with neighbors, his influence is 2,500 people in your community. There is one person twice a year that you could use your platform for to help. They do fundraisers. Instead of doing a dime to donate, go to the band room, sit down with him with a bunch of tubas and say, okay, it's Deuce. I'm here at XYZ High School. I'm with Steve. He's the band director of the high school. Steve, you got a fundraiser coming up. First, tell us about the band, how you did last year. Tell us about your kids. How was this impactful on a kid as an adult? Now you're using your platform to market something in the community. Now all of a sudden, those 2,500 people that band director has influence over, all those moms and dads are sharing that now.
Yes.
They're sharing that post on Facebook, and now you're being seen on Facebook for something different. So when you get seen for something different, people pay attention. Then when you do pop in that Wednesday night pizza special, they see it and they're not like, oh, he's always selling to me. So there's so many opportunities to leverage the platforms to create content that entertains people.
That's so cool. All right, now you kind of touched on this already. If you had to sum up the future of restaurant marketing, what would you say it is?
This phone,
Yeah.
which by the way, I got to bring this up because it kind of ties in with the phone. It's so funny that like 2 months ago, I'm on Instagram and I'm watching a reel of some guy making barbecue, but it was actually a Dickie's Barbecue Facebook or Instagram page. And I'm watching it and I'm like, this guy kind of sounds like Deuce. And then I look and I love you got great biceps, by the way. I got a man crush on you. I'm like, this guy's got biceps just like Deuce. And I'm like, hold on, that is Deuce. So I thought it was funny that they jacked your video.
Totally jacked it. Just screenshotted, screen recorded it, and put it on their page.
What was funny was I was literally as I'm watching, that's how impatient I am. Like I'm 2 seconds into it. And I'm like, oh, this guy sounds like Deuce. So I'm like sending you a text like, hey, this guy sounds like you. And then 10 seconds later, I'm like, oh, he looks like, I'm like, oh shit, never mind, that is you.
Yeah.
And then I was confused. But
I know something's popping off when I get like multiple messages from people. And that one was like, of course, you know, they screenshot and then it got 1 million views or whatever. And multiple people, hey, did you get a new job? You working at Dickie's now?
no. But no,
that's funny.
that's the history. I've been around marketing technically since the mid 90s. I guess as a kid, I was involved in my parents' companies. They had insurance companies, they had travel agencies. I grew up a lot of grassroots marketing. You know, we would walk into a restaurant. This is no exaggeration. Every time we walked into one of my dad's clients, we knew he was not going to make it to the table with us. So we'd walk in the restaurant and we'd be sitting down and we'd look back and dad's talking to a table and he'd come by and we'd say, who was that? Oh, it's so-and-so. And so he tells me a story that his line was whenever he walked in, he saw somebody he didn't know in the restaurant. He'd stop by and he'd go, is that the special? And they'd go, oh, no, this is the XYZ. Oh, okay. You look familiar. What's your name? Oh, I'm Mike Jones. Oh, I'm Dwayne Plapp, Plapp Insurance. Oh, hey, nice to meet you. Like, get talking. He's like, Matt, within a week or two, that person would call me.
Yeah.
Hey, I met you at Walt Hitching Post a couple weeks ago. I've got a son that turned 16. I wonder if you could look at his insurance for me. Like, it would always lead to something. Dad was a consummate marketer, networker. We sponsored, I only played baseball as a kid because he sponsored 9 teams. There was Plapp Insurance teams from kindergarten to high school. And so I was terrible at baseball. I hated it, but I had to play because it was Dad's team. So I grew up around marketing. And what gives me such an appreciation for the opportunity that exists today is exactly this. If you were to get your restaurant, and I'm not going to say the name of the shows, but if you were to get your restaurant on, let's say, 2 or 3 of the top cable TV shows right now, you would reach less people within a mile of your restaurant than if you got on Facebook and did a Facebook Live video for free.
Isn't that crazy?
And so
that's
the opportunity that exists today. I sold radio advertising in the late 90s. I sold media stuff. I did stuff with the Bengals, the Reds. I bought at one point, we were buying about $5 million a year in media for small businesses in Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, and also Pittsburgh, and then Columbus, Ohio. And I know a lot about media. And when I look at what's available today, I crack up. The opportunity that a mom and pop business has today levels the playing field of you and McDonald's. And that's a huge opportunity. That's what got me the story. I've already told you a story now how I got kind of the idea for America's Best Restaurants. The roadshow was I was in Newport Beach, California, speaking at this little event called In Fashion Mall. I meet a guy named Joseph Mahone, who's got a restaurant in Orange, California called Burger Parlor. He had 2 locations back then. Now they're called Jack's Chicken. He invites me to the restaurant. I go there. He's like, I got hand-spun milkshakes. I've got these gourmet burgers. I make my own ketchup in-house. I'm like, sold, brother.
Nice.
So I go there. And I'm talking the best milkshakes I've ever had in my life. He had a Captain Crunch milkshake that tasted like I was drinking the Captain Crunch milk, and I love Captain Crunch. So I go there, and he's telling me his story. And his story was he was a classically trained chef. He worked at a crazy high-end restaurant, and they were closed, I guess, one night a week. He convinced them to let him do high-end burger pop-up. And this is going back 20-something years, like 25 years ago. High-end burger pop-up at this restaurant on Monday nights. It went really well. So then he found another place and did it 2 nights, and then 5 nights. And then he has his own restaurant. And then here we are 5 years later. He's got 2 restaurants, each doing like $4 or $5 million in sales, absolutely killing it. He had never told the story to anybody. And I'm like, I'm looking at your website, your Facebook, that is nowhere.
Right.
That is your differentiator between McDonald's. And so when you ask what the future of restaurants marketing is, it's learning to get comfortable with this device. And I was terrified of video 7-8 years ago. I found one of my first ever videos I did at Hofbrauhaus Pittsburgh's Beer Garden talking about VIP offers and how to acquire customer data and how to bribe people ethically to get them to walk in your restaurant. It's one of the worst videos, most cringy videos I think I can remember me doing, but I had to start somewhere.
Right.
And I knew the power of it back then. So the power of it is media, is that the radio station of 20 years ago is now in your phone, and you, Deuce, and anybody else that has a small business owns the radio station.
Right. Yeah, that's so awesome.